Alright, we are back. As it turns out, yesterday, all the trouble that I was having where I kept feeling like everything felt backwards, it actually was backwards. So I click on navigation. I'm going to go to that midpoint work area navigation point, and that will jump me directly to the place I wanted to be at instead of having to fly over there. And so I have redone all the work. You can see it's still loading here, but I actually did the whole seafloor all the way down to the edge. You can see that down there. That's the back edge of the seafloor. And it should all be matched now. Again, I wanted to show you here. When I was doing the seafloor, I actually had to go beyond the edges. Let me get my terrain things you can see. So these boxes here, this is the actual edges. Looks like there's a little clip there too. I need to fix a little bit. But this right here is the reason, because there were these sharp points, and if I were to go right next to them, then this is what was happening. It was making these large blurbs or globules or, I don't know, underwater mountains that really shouldn't be there. And so I had to go beyond the edges. So this is one of the reasons we do this in a work zone, so we can use these sides that go beyond the edge of the actual work area and make it work. Of course, the other reason is we can't load a prefab onto the outer edge of a zone. You could only load it into the work area of a zone, so that's why we have to do it this way. Sometimes going back through, you find things that you missed the first time through. Probably good, just like editing a book, you go through 3 or 4 times before you submit it to the publisher or publish it to the live zone in this case. So we'll find these little tiny anomalies that we don't want to have to deal with in the live zone. But I did have, I really did have a severe problem in that my whole thing was backwards, so to start over, and I've worked on this all day today. So I've put all this together, I've fixed all these, added some extra rocky kind of paint looking. I like this mossy rock. When you get up close, it looks like there's grass on it, but I figured they even have, there's seagrass in the bottom of the sea, so it still works, and it'll still be fine. It's all painted through here, all smooth together. I also had to paint the seafloor, and one side had it going vertical and the other horizontal, so I had to make sure all that paint blended. And see, here's another little ridge. Just good to catch these little things, especially down the center line. Center line is most important. If it's on this outer edge, I can fix that in the game world, but when it's in the center line, that can't be fixed anywhere but here in the work zone. So this is the only place to fix it. If I find a problem on the center line in the game world, I actually have to load it back into here, fix it, and then load it back again, and that's very tedious and time consuming. So it's better to fix it the first time. Let's see, there's some rocky corner looking ridges. I don't really like those ridgy looking things like that. I can get that rock to come back up. It's making my rocky shore look right here. I have to check, make double sure the center looks good. I think I'm going to add a little curve there since we have a stone line. So the curve button raises a little bumpy area. You probably know that already. But just in case you don't, that's what the curve does. So I can give a little ridge. Because I think that was there before and I probably messed it up while I was world building. So I'm just going to add it back again. And the averager, of course, smooths it out. Of course, I don't have to worry about anything out there because that's not going into the game world. And of course, save often. I'll just come across about 15 chunks, so has a little ways to go. I did get a chance to test my videos last night, so I was happy to see the sound was working. And so you actually were able to hear everything I was saying. The techniques, of course, everything I showed in technique last night is still valid. I just had to start over on my work because it was all backwards and now it's all forwards again. And my faithful developer Benjamin, I guess he watched my videos and he mentioned a concern. He goes, I think it was backwards. And I was like, I don't think so. It just looked backwards. But on a whim, I decided, you know, I guess it wouldn't hurt me to try. And I put in the chunks. And what do you know? They were backwards. So here we are. We're fixing it. Here's a good spot for some, not that, not snow. I need a smaller paintbrush and a little bit of rock. And put a nice little ridge right there. See that ridge in there? It just looks like it has a rocky face. It's a really sharp edge. This looks like that's what needs to be there. So that's what I'm gonna put there. You can't see for a minute. My eye is itching because you can't see that I'm rubbing my eye, but my allergies are bothering me. I have to use my peppermint oil here in a minute. See, there's another rocky face, so we paint that here. And there's another one. Let's just go through, touch up, do as much of the painting as we can, and sometimes we go along and we see things we didn't see before. Sometimes the camera's on the opposite side and you just don't notice. And sometimes you just see things differently after your eyes have had a chance to rest for a while. Of course, here's our road. I had to make sure that all came through. So the Corian side came up to here. And you can see where the box ends right there. Maybe you can see it better from this. So the Corian side stopped right there, and then I had to move the path along there. And so I left off working in the mountains earlier today, and my eyes got really tired. Most likely due to lack of sleep. I hear that causes that sometimes. I don't sleep enough. Last night I couldn't sleep because my ankle was hurting, so. Alright, so I'm going to pick up this sort of glacier ice texture here and paint some of that in there. I think I'm going to change my opacity a little here. So I don't want it so dark. I'm going to go down to 60, I think. Maybe 50. I'll just type it in, 50. I want that snow under there. I don't want so much ice, so I'm gonna pick up the snow too and put that on top. There, see, that makes it look more icy and less watery blue or whatever that is. And then we'll do the same thing. Oh, let's pick up that water. Kind of frozen water coming up through here. It's melting. That's the idea anyway. We'll see if it works. And I'll pick this up here. Our glacier ice. Got a 20, even lighter. So 20 opacity, you see it's just very, very faint, but it does do a nice blend there. I'll throw some up there. Very cold glacier water. And I think it might not come straight down like that. I think it might come down these crevices like this. Could be wrong, but that's kind of what I'm gonna go for. It looks like maybe right up through there. That looks like the most of it. And I don't really want it all the way up there on the edge. I missed. Just blend this all in, making this look better. Kind of paint as I go. If I leave all the painting for the end, then it just gets kind of overwhelming. So if I see something that's like, hey, I need to paint that, and I have a clear idea of what needs to be done, then I'll stop. Terraforming is, some of my developers like to call it, stop modifying terrain and just go on to this. Now I'm not quite sure why we have grass so high up. That doesn't quite look right, does it? I'm thinking I need a bigger paintbrush. And I'm gonna change this up a little. Not sure what I was thinking, but I don't think that's right. I reserve the right to change my mind. Alright, so we painted a little bit there. glacier rivers. Alright, now I'm gonna try to get it not to be quite so large.
I bet it took a lot of tries.
Back to 100%. Cover over these rocks. Bits of grass. And check the other side. That's alright.
Got your hair. Got your hair. Got your nose.
I'm not sure why that rock is exactly like that. I'm gonna just paint over it. I might add rocks in later, but I'm gonna paint over that rock for now. And we're gonna go back to modifying terrain. I'm just gonna get rid of all this for now. I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm changing my mind. That's what I'm doing. Okay, I'll probably change it all back again once I see what it looks like in the game world. Okay, so now we go back to the mountain. We're at 60 strength. So I'm going to take these rough edges out. There's an awful lot of squares in the land. I'm trying to get rid of them. Let's see if a bigger brush will work. Sometimes a bigger brush helps. Sometimes it makes things worse. It depends. Okay. What do I want to do here? I guess I'm going to go back down to a smaller brush. And I'm going to take samples of the height, and I'm going to that went too deep. Undo. Maybe I'll just leave that one.
Where'd it go? Right. Doing this or going too straight.
I don't like to have like this really stark line down the middle of the zone, so I try to pull, when I see a ridge option here, I like to pull that out a little ways, and so that we don't have this really obvious sharp edge to the zone line. I pull it out on purpose. A little bit of a hole there. I don't want anything players are going to get stuck in the mountains. No holes. I prefer not. Alright, here we come on. So we're blending this all in. Still see some sharp edges over here. I don't want squares. Snow doesn't generally make squares. It makes nice rounded tops. I don't know, maybe up close it might look squarish, but it should be rounded for the most part, I think. My family is watching Star Trek reruns again. I can hear them in there. I don't know if you can hear them on the sound. I hope not. It might be a little confusing. Alright, and then I guess we're gonna bring that up. Way up. Oh, that's really, really high. Why is it so high on one side and not on the other? Alright. Let's see if we can get that to work. I haven't saved in a while. I better save it. I don't want to lose my work. I hate it when it crashes. Alright, there. So now we're getting a good little shape there to our hill on that side. I'm going to do this side. Oh, it's cutting deep. Come on up. Maybe this will be some fun climbing hills or something for people to climb on. I like to try and think about sometimes, what do people do here? When we get the climbing skill working, that'll be some good rock climbing out here, huh? I know right now anybody can just fly anywhere they want, but when we make it a little more challenging, maybe it'll be a little more fun. A lot of times people think they just want the game to be easy so they can win, but then when they win too easy, it's not as fun because there's no thrill of triumph over what feels like sometimes impossible odds. And when you beat those impossible odds, then you're like, wow, I won, I really won. I feel like, oh yeah, everybody wins. It's not as fun. So I want to try and find that balance where it's challenging and fun, so you can win, not easily. You can conquer the mountain, but you might fall down a few times in the process. Maybe it won't be as easy as you think it is, but you can still win, and it'll still be fun. This is really a steep cliff here. I don't have a whole lot of cliffs this steep. This really is. It is a steep cliff. Alright. Okay, there's flowers growing on top of the mountain. Crocuses, apparently. I don't think those probably are going to stay. Alright. Somehow I've made a divot. I didn't really want a divot there. Alright, I had to put that bump back in there again. That wasn't quite right. Alright, they're fixing all this in here. Kind of interesting introducing my children to Star Trek. They're watching Deep Space Nine for the first time. I mean, not for the first time today, but, you know, they've never seen these episodes before. Because they weren't born yet when it first came out. Alright, there we go. That looks good. I'm gonna save that again. And now I'm gonna go ahead and put the peppermint oil on again so I can breathe and my eyes will maybe stop itching a little bit. As long as it doesn't. I don't rub it in my eyes. Sometimes I forget and I rub peppermint oil in my eyes because they itch and I still have it on my fingers. Wow, does that hurt? Okay. Back to painting, I think. Whoa, too big. We're gonna get rid of the crocuses on the top of the mountain. You're at 100%, yes?
That's part one. No more. I really think combat
Yes, I changed the size of my brush again. We chose not to use the super bright white snow because the glare effect on the snow is so extreme. Also, you'll notice I try not to modify this far edge too much because it will match up to the other zone when I put it in. You know, there's a whole zone out there of chunks on the far side, so I would like to do the least amount of terrain modifying possible when I get this all back in there. I think I do see why there's grass in the bottom of that. We're gonna have some more terrain changing here. Mountains are harder than the ocean floor. I think so anyway. There's just so many different crevices and cliffs, and you have to make them all look good. And the ocean floor is like sand, coral, rocks, more sand, rocks, sand, coral, sand, rocks, more sand. The ocean floor is just really easy compared to mountains. I don't know why that's all mixed up. Just like 4 different textures there, and I don't know why they're there. I'm gonna put snow there, fix it later. I think I see why that's there. It's a little off, but alright, let's save again. It's just, mountains take so long. It's very slow going. But it must be done. Now they're watching Mythbusters. Alright, where? That was weird. Never done anything from the underside of the terrain before. That was weird. Alright, let's see. Look at that. Why is it doing that? That's really weird. Fixed that weird line that was on there though, so I guess I'll deal with it. And we have just more and more painting. I don't know if you want to skip to the end of this or not. There's not a lot of excitement going on here. Just painting mountains. I don't always have anything to say. I just sort of sit here looking at my screen, painting shadows. I'm gonna have to come through and paint this too. I think we probably don't want crocuses on top of the mountain again. Make some silly quest where you have to go get a crocus from the very top of the mountain. People would hate that, wouldn't they? Well, it can't be just any crocus. It has to be one from the top of the mountain. I don't know, would you like that quest? I wonder if there's anybody who might actually like that, or if they would all just be mad at me. Maybe I'll say, Lorene made us do this. Lorene made us climb to the top of the mountain. Millions of crocuses everywhere, and we have to climb to the top of the mountain. Doesn't she know they're all the same species? Ah, but the one that grows at the top of the mountain is hardier, has adapted to stronger conditions. See, I'm not gonna make you do it. It's alright. You can breathe again. I don't know, it probably maybe needs to stay there or something. Sometimes it helps me to see the ridges if it's all one color though. And there's mixed colors. I can't always tell what's broken until I'm like walking on it. I can't walk this whole distance. I can, but not easily. Alright, save. Alright, see this ridge here? Blend that all down too. Have to look at it from both sides, because sometimes it looks fine on one side and then it's messed up on the other side. Not gonna bother with that one little hill there. We'll make it so it's more of a little path through there. Probably isn't, but oh well. Alright, now what do I do about this? Taller mountains. The ridge seems to go that way more than that way. Alright, here we go. Smooth it out. One tool they don't have is an opposite of the curve tool to make a smooth trench instead of a hard square trench. So I can make this mountain, I can bring that up and makes it smooth, but I don't have a trenching tool that does the same thing. Like I might want to trench through here. I don't really have a tool that does that. If I do, I haven't found it yet. There might be. I mean, there's ways to cheat and make it work, but there's no easy way to do it, I guess, is all I was saying. Smoothing out the corners. Fun, fun, fun. There's a lot of other things I'd rather do this than a lot of other things, I guess. I'm trying to say. Try not to complain too much. Sometimes I get bored, and not so much bored, more just I wonder, anybody ever actually gonna play my game? Am I doing all this work for nothing? I hope not. I hope people play it. I hope people have fun. I hope we get to make it the way I want to make it and not have to settle. I hope we get enough programmers to do everything I want to do. It's not just about professions, it's about friendships and playing together online. So much more than just playing a game. It's about being together and I think if everybody knew what I wanted to do, I think they'd be a lot more excited about it. I write the design documents, but not everybody reads them. And of course, I can't just put them online. It breaks certain legal ethics. But I think people would really like it if they knew what I wanted to do. All the different professions and skills and activities, things to make and do and see, and places to explore. Yeah, there's some more squares. That is why sometimes it helps to paint everything the same color. See those edges better. I don't know why painting it all the same color helps, but it does. And I'm also trying to cover up all this gold color, because this gold color is some non-transparent color and the engine doesn't like it. Just no more gold colors. No gold terrain. Doesn't like it. Gets cranky. It's a deep valley there. That's my husband sending me a text message with a link to a picture to look at. I will look at it later. That's an interesting scoop in the mountain there. That's right out of the terrain data. A little peak there. I don't think anybody put that there. I think that came right off the satellite data. Am I getting to the end yet? Maybe. These look like Tomasos rocks. Getting close to the area where the city of Tomasos is. Of course, I still have a lot of work to do. I don't think I'm going to finish tonight. I'm getting really tired. Coffee, vitamins, TV. Nothing is really fixing it for me. I'm just tired. I'm going to make this paintbrush bigger. I'm just painting all of it anyway. I'm not really preserving much of anything. I don't want to mess up the Tomasos side too much, but I can paint this side. So I have to go back and make the Tomasos side match this side, but I can paint the base texture down here. Oh, look at that. I am almost done. That's the edge. Hooray. Hooray, hooray. Oh, I think I needed to not have painted that exact corner. Alright, we're going to take it easy here because this edge matches up to a different zone, so we need to be careful right here. Corners are tricky. To mess up my corners as least as possible. Alright. Oh, yes, I'm yawning about every 2 minutes. I'm really tired. Now you can yawn with me.
Yeah, I said I probably would. He has no idea. Yeah. Or even tomorrow. Oh, no, that's so silly. Oh, yeah, it's probably like that. Oh. Oh, I sent you to which end?
Just fixing the edges, hoping to finish tonight. Probably not going to finish tonight, but I'm hoping to. That would be awesome. And then I can show you how we put save them all again and put them back in the world. Saving them all again is the easy part. Putting them back in the world, not so much. But it's okay. It's easier than terraforming and merging. It's easier than this part. You just have to load up each zone individually and try not to mix everything up. Naming is very important, as you will see when we get to that point. Everything has to be named very precisely and in order, otherwise it can really get haywire quickly. You forget which piece goes where. Saving. But it looks like a long way from here, doesn't it? That's a long hike. You see what it looks like from the ground level? That's what it looks like down here. It's a long way home. Of course, I'm going really fast, but alright, clicking it off. You saw those lines? That's why painting and checking is really important. So we don't have those things happen. My feet are swollen so bad. Sorry, I am complaining again, aren't I? I'm not supposed to be complaining. I'm really bad at it. Sometimes I just meditate on those scriptures that say, no more sorrow, no more pain. I look forward to those days. Some days I really, really look forward to heaven. I hope you who are listening to this, I hope you're looking forward to heaven too. And I hope you're doing everything you can, using your gifts and talents to reach people before you get there, so that all your loved ones will be in heaven with you. That's why we stay here. That's why we do what we're doing. It's why we work on this game. It's why I, anyway, homeschool my children. Teach them and raise them and prepare them too, so they can fulfill the purposes God meant for them. Whatever that may be. My daughter's a really good artist. My oldest son, he's a good programmer. He's very gifted in several areas. Actually, he's also a good actor. He's a good writer. Probably a better writer than I am, but he doesn't want to write. I know he's a better programmer than I am. I can't write code to save my life. And he's doing really good. And he's double majoring in college and getting straight A's. We gotta use everything we got for God. We gotta use it before our time runs out. Some days I feel like I'm almost out of time, and I'm not sure I've done enough. I work harder, I stay up later. Not because I think Jesus needs me to save the world. I already know I'm inadequate, but I sure want to do anything I can. If there's anything I can do that will help, I want to do it. If there's anybody who will be saved because of one thing that I do or one thing I say, or maybe something I post on Facebook even. Just want to be sure I'm faithful in doing that. I read a friend of mine on Facebook earlier today. She was on her way home from someplace. I think a doctor appointment, but I don't know for sure where she was going home from. She drove past a woman who was laying on a park bench with her thumb up in the air. And she just felt this tug on her heart and felt like God was telling her, help that woman. Of course, she's all by herself, and she was worried, what if the woman robs me? What if she hurts me? What if, all those scary things the news tells us. But God said, help that woman. And so she turned around and went back and she helped the woman. And found out that she'd been released from a mental hospital, and the mental hospital had put her on a bus shipped her off, and she had nowhere to go. She said she hitchhiked, I don't know, about 50 miles, I guess, to get to where she was. She was trying to get to her boyfriend's house, so my friend took her to the boyfriend's house. The boyfriend wouldn't let her in the house, so she took her to the police, and the police wouldn't help her. And the police said there wasn't anywhere for her to stay, and they wouldn't help her find any kind of shelter or nothing. So she prayed, and she felt like God said, take her home. Well, I think that was just such a brave thing to do, take a stranger home. Somebody you don't know, you never met, you have no idea what kind of person they are, if they're going to steal your money, rob you blind. And I know my friend doesn't have much money to steal, so any she'd lose would be a great tragedy. And she did it. She took the stranger home with her. And the lady spent the night on her floor. She didn't have a bed for her, but the lady spent the night on her floor, maybe her couch. And the next morning she made breakfast for her, and they read the Bible together. And at 6:15 in the morning, that woman accepted Jesus as her Savior. And that's faith. That's just amazing miracle. God still works through people today. He still uses us, and I hope He'll use me. Maybe not like that, but maybe somehow. Maybe my husband will come to know Jesus. I hope. My children and I pray for him every day. I know other people pray for him too. It's our greatest wish. It's the only thing I've wanted for my birthday or Christmas for years and years. I mean, sure, I've wanted other things too, but that's the thing I want the most. My parents and my sister got me my bathrobe 2 years ago, and that was the only other thing I wanted. I have my bathrobe and my slippers, and there's nothing important in this world. Nothing so important as knowing Jesus. I just really hope he comes to know Jesus before it's too late. I feel urgency. I feel like time is running out. People think that because the world's been here for 6,000 years, it's going to be here for another 6,000 more, but I don't think it is. I think we're almost out of time. Plenty of time to decide where I'm going. Except we don't have plenty of time. I can't remember all the words to that song. Sorry, I started singing a song and I can't remember the words to it. It's terrible, isn't it?
Here's more explosions. I just shot him in the face with an egg. Look, where's I get the back of the head?
I can't think of any songs to sing you. I'm sorry, I'm too tired. I can't think of anything at all. Maybe you don't want to hear me sing anyway. Maybe that's for the best. I just feel like I need to be talking or something. It's kind of boring to just watch somebody paint terrain and modify terrain, so yesterday the Lord gave me a scripture from Revelation chapter 21, I think, verse 4, but I could be wrong. But it said, someday God will wipe away all our tears. There will be no more sorrow, no more crying, no more pain. The things of this world will pass away. All this stuff we're doing, even this game we're making, all this doesn't really matter. All this someday is going to pass away. The only thing that matters is knowing Jesus. It's really the only thing that matters. And we have to follow God's commandments. Those things matter. Loving God, that matters. But the thing that matters the most, well, it's like Jesus said, what is the greatest commandment? The teacher of the law questioned him. What's the greatest commandment? Matthew chapter 30, you can read it. He said, the first and greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. And the second is like it, to love your neighbor as yourself. If you think about it, it's because we are all made in the image of God. So we all need to love one another like God loved us, because God loves them. Jesus took it even further. There was another man who questioned him and said, what does it take to get into heaven? And Jesus said, follow all the law and all the prophets. And the man said, I've done all this since I was a child. And Jesus said, then take all that you have and sell it and give it to the poor and follow me. And the man went away sad, because he was a man of great wealth. You cannot love money or wealth or anything more than you love Jesus. And Jesus loves people. So we have to love others the way he loved us. One of his disciples asked him, how many times must I forgive my brother who sins against me? And he thought he was being generous. He's like, do I have to forgive him 7 times? Then I don't have to forgive him anymore, is a suggestion, right? I don't know what he's going to do, but just not forgive, I guess. And Jesus said, no, 70 times 7. Well, basically, if you're keeping count, you really haven't forgiven him, have you? So that was kind of a shocker. And there was another query of Jesus, and he was talking about, well, he says, but my brother was, really mean to me. And he says, he says, well, do I have to forgive him if he murders? I think that was the question. I can't remember the scripture right now. And I can't look it up because Firefox will crash Bigworld. But it was something like, well, what if somebody commits murder? Do I have to forgive him then? And Jesus said, if you even hate your brother, you have done the same as committing murder in your heart. It's like, wow, We all get mad sometimes and say things like, I hate you. Children especially say it. I hate you. They don't really know what they're saying. They know they're angry though. They've probably heard it on TV, or maybe they heard their family members or a friend say it. But God equates that hatred with the same level as murder. Murder, rapists, child abusers. They're all the same level in God's eyes as somebody who calls his brother a name. You stink bug, I hate you. It's the same as a murderer in God's eyes, because God loves that person too. That's pretty heavy for us justice-minded people to think about. And God is a God of justice, but he sees all sin the same. That's why we need Jesus. He doesn't see as a shoplifter as this, oh, shoplifting, that's just a little crime, right? Nope, it's all the same to him. It's all the same. We all need that same forgiveness. That's why we have to forgive others. We have to teach our children to forgive. The best way to teach them to forgive is to be good forgivers ourselves. Messed that one up. I'm not always good at forgiving. It's easy to talk about forgiveness when you want somebody to forgive you. When you say, I'm sorry, and you really mean it, you're really sorry. You want them to forgive you. But boy, if you're the one who's been hurt, that's harder, isn't it? It's harder to be the forgiver. It's a lot easier to point fingers than it is to open your arms and say, I forgive you. That's what Jesus did to us, and that's what we're supposed to do to others. That's how we show Christ's love to one another.
No, no. Drink my book, drink my bottle, you smell my
Maybe all this is more than you bargained for, huh? Weren't planning on me talking about the Lord, but you know, he's the only thing that's really worth talking about, and I've already explained everything I'm doing here. There's only so many ways you can talk about leveling the ground and then painting it. It's just a lot of long, tedious work. I don't know, maybe you can watch something I'm doing, and if you have questions you can ask. I'll try to explain it, but I think it's all just pretty basic stuff. Just once you learn the controls, just how it works. That is really bright snow. Snow blind. It's too bright in the world. It's just too bright. Now, I guess there might be games when you might want it to snow blind, but that doesn't work very well for us. So when I find it, I kind of try to get rid of it there. Oh, and look at that. I found some squares. Bye-bye, squares. That just really doesn't look like that matches up very good, does it? Here we go. We'll make it match. Alright.